Hi everyone, Rich Crescenti with another in our series of videos making music with Melodyne, and today we are going to be discussing whisper vocals. Now I love a good whisper vocal track because it can really shape the mood of the production, right? It can add some shimmer, it can make things a little more intimate, it can make things a little more creepy. So I love working with these, and because they are usually sung in conjunction with a lead vocal, making them work together is important. So in part one of this series today, we're going to be figuring out how to make a whisper vocal fit in and gel with a lead vocal. Now, almost everything we're doing today can be done inside Melodyne Assistant and Higher. However, at the end, we will be using the sound editor, which requires Melodyne Studio. And because whisper vocals are kind of delicate and low-level information sometimes, I do recommend listening on good quality studio headphones or monitors today. All right, so let's jump in and take a look. This is a track called I Want You to Be Loved by Erica Schaefer here out of Los Angeles. I produced this track. Let's just listen to the whole track. Here we go. Okay, spooky, creepy, I like it. I really want to make sure this whisper vocal works well with the lead vocal. Right now we're looking at the main lead vocal. Let's switch over and look at the whisper vocal. And I have Melodyne on here already. I haven't done anything to it yet. All I did was right click on the clip and come down to Melodyne and hit edit. And here it is. And because this is a vocal, this has selected the melodic algorithm. That's normal for vocals. But because the melodic algorithm is designed for vocals, it's always looking for sibilant information. And because this is a whisper vocal, as you can see right here, because these vertical hash marks, it's determined that almost all of this is whisper information. Now, if you only want to go in and adjust and tighten up timing a little bit, that will work fine for this. But there are a lot of other things that I want to adjust right here. And because of the way this algorithm is designed, some of those tools don't affect sibilant information. So we have a couple of options. First, we could go into note assignment mode right here and come over here to the left-hand side and take our sibilant handling and turn that off. If we turn that off, we now see that this is viewing all of these as pitch. And because of that, we can now use the format tool, the pitch tool, other tools as well. But we do have another option, which is to go over to the algorithm and choose percussive pitched. And one of the reasons I might do this is because this is in some ways more like a percussion instrument, right? Pitch is not as of much value in it as it would be in a lead vocal. And when we listen to this later, you'll hear she hits some of these notes pretty hard. So it almost functions like a percussive instrument. So for this example today, I'm going to switch to this. You may have to go back and forth and see which one works better for your vocal. So let's switch to our percussive pitch algorithm. It's going to ask me if I want to redetect, and I'm going to say yes. And once we see this in right here, as it analyzes all of it, we can see now that still there is no sibilant information. By default, this algorithm does not look at sibilant information. Okay, great. So now what we can do is using our multi-track view, this part does require Melodyne Studio, but you don't need this to do this kind of editing. Although it is nice to see the lead vocal within there. I want to go through here and decide how I want to affect these. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is pitch. And I want to show you why, right? This whisper vocal doesn't have a lot of pitch to it, but let's just listen to both the vocals together. I am a floating head. Okay, I like the way that sounds, but I feel like the vocal itself does some up and down travel because of the melody, and I kind of want the whisper vocal to do the same thing. So let's go in here and make this whisper vocal match the lead vocal in terms of pitch. We'll bring that one up there. We'll bring that one to there, that one to there, this one to here. And you can see, if we look at this, we've got a little breath in the middle right there. You can hear that. You can hear that breath right there. So that's easy enough to solve. I'm just going to come to my separation tool and separate that out right there. And what I can do then is come back to my pitch tool and bring this one down where I want it and this one down where I want it as well. And now I'm just going to come to all of these and just double click to make sure they go right to the pitch line. And let's give this a listen. I am a floating head. I like that. I like what that does because I now feel like the whisper vocal travels vertically along with the lead vocal. It tracks a little better with it, and I like the way that that works. Okay, the next thing that I may go in and change right here would probably be timing, right? And because these are set to the same pitch, it can sometimes be difficult to tell what you want to do with timing. In the lower right-hand corner, we see over here that we've got this spread unison tracks option right here. I'm going to click on that, and that will spread these apart vertically. It's not changing the pitch. It's just giving us an easier way to look at the overlapping vocals right there. And this is great for adjusting some timing. The other thing I'm going to do right here is I want to come in and kind of clean up some of this stuff that is breaths, right? Because we don't necessarily want that within there. So I'm going to come over here to these, and we have a couple of options here. I can select them and come over here to note off on the left-hand side. That turns those off. You can do the exact same thing with your amplitude tool just by double-clicking on them, like so. One of the reasons I like doing this instead of deleting them is because it leaves this hollow silhouette right there. So I know that something is missing in case I need to go in later and tweak the fine timing of it a little bit, or maybe I don't want it gone. I changed my mind and I would rather just lower it in amplitude. So I can get rid of that breath. I can get rid of this breath right here as well. And now we've got a vocal that doesn't have any breaths, lines up pretty good. Let's adjust our timing a little bit. Now, there's two ways to do that, and one is as a group or within individual blobs. I can come over here to my timing tool and say, I want this to sort of hit its peak amplitude right around when this vocal does right here. Same thing right here. Kind of the same thing right here. On this one, we see a little bit of a pitch line and some empty spot before it. So that means there's sibilant information before and after right here. You might be tempted to sort of move this a little bit later, but I see our sibilant information is kind of starting at the same time right there. So I want to keep those where they are, keep that one where that is. This one looks good, and I'm going to do the exact same thing right here. That's an individual blob method. We can also move them as groups. We can nudge them. Melodyne does have a nudge feature. If you ever forget the quick key for anything in Melodyne, you can come over here to your settings and go to preferences. Up to this menu right here, go to shortcuts, and then we can just type in nudge, and you'll see nudge left, nudge right, nudge up, nudge down. A quick reminder, the nudge tool does depend upon, the nudge function does depend upon which tool you are using. So if you want to nudge timing, make sure you're using the timing tool. Now this only moves 1 millisecond at a time, but this is really good for fine tuning and moving all these a little bit forward or backward to shape kind of the mood of the song. You can just hit Shift Command and the right arrow to move all those a little bit later. You can really see they're barely moving right now because again, this is set to millisecond. Okay, now that we've adjusted some of this right here, let's see what we've done so far. So let's hear our original. I am a floating head. Very nice. And now let's see what we've done with Melodyne so far. I am a floating head. This is great. I like a lot of this. However, we're going to dig deep here on this one. And I heard something that sounded a little weird to me on this particular blob right here. Let's hide our lead vocal and look at this blob and just listen again. I'm hearing a little bit of an artifact right there. And let's be real about this, right? We're looking at pitch and trying to determine pitch from something that does not have a lot of pitch within it. Pitch within something like a whisper vocal is pretty ambiguous. So if you get an artifact, it's not a big deal. You can simply come over here to your note assignment mode. And if you right click and come to your activation tool, you can then just hold down Option, and I'm just going to drag this up a little bit. And that basically says, hey, look at this one again, redetect this a little bit, and it will. It'll look at those like that. Sometimes people, I think, are afraid to go in here, but really, most of the time, Melodyne does a great job. But if you hear something a little bit weird, you can go into note assignment mode and tweak that. Remember, this is where we tell Melodyne how to interpret the data. And I see that I don't like the way that it interpreted this one, so I'm asking it to reinterpret that again. We can now go back into our edit mode. And we can see, if I open up this original lead vocal here, that this note has been edited. Now, let's not forget that on the right-hand side over here, I am using spread unison tracks. If I turn this off, You can now see that they all line up except for this note right here. But I like having that on for visual purposes, so I'm going to turn that back on and then take this note that was re-edited and just move it back up to where it should be, right there. And now let's give this a listen and see how we've changed it.
I am a floating head.
That's great. I really like what we did right there, and I think that reanalyzing that note to get it to sit properly was the right call. Okay, now we've got some other ways to make this work right here that require the use of the sound editor. And once again, this is only available in Melodyne Studio and higher. So let's open up this sound editor. And what we see right here, what it defaults to is our harmonics view. And this is basically what we're looking at right here is a harmonic fingerprint of this entire whisper vocal track. So one of the first things that I will often do is come over here. And if you look, you'll see there's your fundamental, there's your second harmonic, third harmonic, fourth harmonic, etc. But there's this slider right here. And this slider is everything that is below the fundamental or other non-musical information. So I will oftentimes just get rid of that entirely. And because we are trying to make this particular whisper vocal fit in with the lead vocal, I don't know if I really want it to have as much fundamental and low harmonic information. So I'm going to take the fundamental and the second harmonic and bring those down a little bit right there. And bring those down. I brought them down 12 dB. That might be a lot. Let's just bring those down to 10 right there or so. And let's see how this works. I'm going to bypass our sound editor right here so we can hear this. Let's check it out.
I am a floating head.
Okay, nice. And let's bring this back and see how that changed the sound.
I am a floating head.
I like that. It's a little bit subtle, but by taking the fundamental and the second harmonic and moving them back, we cleared out some low-level information that makes a little more space for the lead vocal. And that's really important. We don't want to step on the lead vocal. We're trying to support that here. Now, we've got a few other options. For example, right over here is our brilliance slider. I like this one a lot, and I just want to listen to this vocal again. Let's hear it.
I am a floating head.
Okay, nice. It's great, but I do feel like it's a little harsh, and this is a great way to just sort of darken it up a little bit. So I'm going to move this brilliance slider. By holding down the Option key, I get fine control. A little goes a long way with these sliders right here. Let's bring down that to minus 10% and give that a listen.
I am a floating head.
I might go a little bit further on that right there. Let's bring this down to 15. Let's hear that again.
I am a floating head.
That's nice. By darkening it up a little bit, we actually created some air around the lead vocal and made it not quite as harsh right there. Another one that we've got right here is the contour. And this contour, this is going to be a subtle one, especially on a lead vocal. But with this contour, we actually can accentuate what is unique about this fingerprint by dragging this contour to the right, or we can drag it over here to the left and smooth everything out. Let's see what this does right here. I'm going to drag this all the way to the right to further accentuate what is unique about this whisper vocal.
I am a floating head.
Let's drag it all the way to the other far end to minus 100% on the contour and smooth it out entirely, and hear that.
I am a floating head.
To be honest, I liked kind of the uniqueness of the contour. I might not go quite as far with that with this one right here. Let's just increase the contour about what makes this vocal unique up to, let's say, there. And let's hear it.
I am a floating head.
That's nice. We accentuated it a little bit without going overboard on it right there. Now, along with our harmonics, we do have an EQ slider in here as well. And here we can see this is a rough sort of a spectral analyzation of the entire whisper vocal right here. And while this shows you the overall track, when you play, you will see some circles that move up and down that show you energy at any given instant. So let's listen to this and watch this spectral analysis right here.
I am
Okay, we see that the lowest note that we hit is kind of right around here. So another way that I might clear out some space for the lead vocal is to select up until almost there. And if we hover above this, it'll sort of dip out a little bit. But if we hover below that line, it just brings everything down kind of like a shelf. Now we just cleared out a lot of low-level information. Let's see how that changed it.
I am a floating head.
That's nice. It's almost a little spookier by not having that low-level information in there. So great. One of the things that's nice about this sound editor, by the way, is that regardless of whatever changes you make, it has automatic gain compensation. So it will make sure the output level is the same. Now, sometimes it may fit a little differently, so you may need to adjust it yourself. And if you want to, you can just turn this up or down right here. All right, so let's see what we've done overall within context of the track. I'm going to bypass Melodyne and play the whole track, and then we'll see what we did. Here we go. Okay, nice. And let's see where we've brought it today. That's great. That is just so much cleaner and so much more professional sounding. So if you hope you enjoyed this today, be sure to like, leave a comment, sign up for notifications, and check out part 2 where we talk about fitting this whisper vocal into the context of the mix. Thanks.